All right, up and running here. We're going to share this link, so give us just 1 second. Hopefully we'll get some people on here. As I said, if you're hating your... All right. Yeah, there we go. Now we're back up and rolling.
It's connected, yes.
Yeah, nobody on here with us yet. That's okay. I imagine people are bad drunk.
Well, it's 11:20.
Yeah.
So.
What are we still doing here?
What time was the game over?
Chuck Ward says, hola. Thank you for tuning in, Chuck. We appreciate having you.
Thanks, Chuck. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. If you guys got questions, anything like that, feel free to send them in. We'll get to as much of that as we can tonight. Shane Reagan says, go Dogs. Hey, tough sledding tonight, man. Heartbreaking.
I thought that was a good choice that Anthony Dasher used for the heartbreak for the name. Another heartbreaker, yeah. But here's the thing. You're going up against the number one team in America. This is not anything that LSU hasn't seen every year. Auburn has seen this every year. Mississippi State, Ole Miss. You're getting to play Alabama every year. Guess what? They're pretty damn good.
Yeah, that's what happens. Our guy, Tyler Stover, says, I bet $1,000 I know what Roddy will say about the fake punt.
Stupid fucking idea. Did you win $1,000? Now here's the thing. Now I told you that Georgia had a fake field goal, a fake on the field goal. I didn't know that it was going to be. I knew it was probably a pass. I knew they weren't going to run Rodrigo again. So we were right on that. We knew something was coming. We didn't know what, and they messed it up. Then you were right when you said, why in the hell do you have Rodrigo running that fake field goal? No.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. They had looked. They do their homework. They had seen against the LSU game that they never brought a guy from that side. As every time they watched it, they could run around him. You got it made. And the one time LSU lines up on that side, Rodrigo gets killed. Then he has the bad throw. He had hit, apparently, talking to people, he had hit that pass to Nada in practice over and over and over again. And this time they go back, they look at 150 times Alabama's in punt safe, and no one's ever on that side. Meekol's free, but it took too long, and they did it. So I get why they're doing it, but damn, if you don't get into the playoffs, it's because of that.
I agree.
If you had sympathy up until that call.
Yeah. Look.
So again, I'm not trying to rip on them. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I was going to say, I mean, 2nd and 26, haunting for Georgia fans. That's going to stick with you probably just as long. I don't know.
Honestly, to me, that's worse.
I agree. I agree, because that was so self-inflicted. I mean, that was absolutely, it was brutal. And what made no sense, and Scott Fountain talked about this after the game, which I did not understand. He admitted Justin Fields had not been in on the punt team all year.
Yeah.
So if you're Bama and you see that kid wander out there.
Hey, why do they have a 5-star quarterback on the field as an up back instead of the other guys?
Wonder what that could be.
With, the game on the
dual
line,
threat.
3 minutes. Yeah, the dual threat guy. Saban's new to football. He might not catch it.
We got somebody says, why did we only, David Ballou, he says, why did we only give Swift 3 carries in the second half? I'm going to tell you, I did not realize that until after the game. And that is up there with the LSU head scratching. Why did you go away from that?
Why did they go away last year in the national title game? Why did all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, where the hell is Sony Michel?
Yeah. We just riot, folks. We don't call plays.
And we don't even do that
kind. No, overall though, I mean, there was a lot of positive for Georgia. Jake Fromm played exceptionally well. Game managed the hell out of this one. Look, he wasn't hitting it for huge gains. They weren't stretching the field with it, but he wasn't turning the ball over. He was efficient in his passing. The running game was off to a great start.
Yeah, 10 in a row.
There you go. I mean, it was...
You couldn't, the A gaps were gone. You couldn't run in the middle, but you ran on the edges beautifully.
Absolutely.
I mean, you gashed them. And it seemed like every time they got the entire game changed after Rodrigo missed a field goal. And I don't mean to say, I'm not putting anything on him. Guys miss kicks. It happens. He's been fantastic throughout the entire season. But when they missed it, Georgia hung their heads walking off the field. And Alabama went nuts. And I tweeted out, hey, this is a momentum changer. And I don't want to say Georgia gave up. But I'll be damned if that didn't change from there on out, it just looked like a totally different team.
Completely. It sucked the wind right out of them.
Yeah.
And Rodrigo in the post game, we asked what went wrong. Basically said, look, I saw the shot clock winding down, and I just tried to rush it, and I missed it off. That's going to happen. Look, Rodrigo, say what you want. Kickers miss, and he was probably due for one, and it is what it is. It came at a really, really bad time. But
When he's rushed, I don't like throwing a ball, having to run against LSU. He doesn't do well. When he can take his time, he's money. Thank God they didn't do any of the short kicks.
yeah, no kidding.
So.
But yeah, I thought your wide receivers played really well today. I thought that those guys were making
They made some great catches.
really tough grabs today.
Terry
Holloman, Ridley, Godwin. Overall, now I will say, uncharacteristic drop by Mecole Hardman in the back of the end zone. He was all over that ball. He should have had that one. There's just no denying that one.
No excuse. They did score on that drive, though, I do believe. Did they throw to Nava after that?
Yes, they did.
So you got that one didn't cost you, but you got to hit that one. And I thought people saying control the line of scrimmage. No, you did not control the line of scrimmage. Alabama's defensive lineman stood your offensive lineman up, and you stand them up and you look into the backfield, you engage them. There was no push, but there were gaps, there were cutbacks, and then Alabama, of course, opened giant holes and ran on you. Why Alabama didn't run the ball all night long, I don't understand. But knowing you could not outman Alabama in the trenches, but you still ran the ball on them and you still stopped them. So it's not just, hey, my right guard's better than your 4-eye technique. Hey, you were still able to go toe-to-toe with them, and you led them most of the game.
All right, Matt Davis says, and we've got a lot of questions about this. He says, come on, guys, reflect on the elephant in the room. Missed calls on Bama.
God bless America. Well, you've seen our tweets. If you go to UGASports.com and you look on, click on the link that says photo gallery. I put a gallery to all our photos in there. Also, I linked 4 photographs of Holding. They were just
egregious.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be a homer, and you guys understand. Hell, I break bad news all the time. We are.
Yeah, you're the angel of death.
Yeah, I'm just saying that we call it like we see it. Yes, I'm snarky, and it's kind of pro-Georgia snarky because I know who my audience is, and I did graduate from there. But I'm not trying to be a homer. I'm trying to call it like I see it. And when I see an armbar across Alex
with the handful of jersey pulling.
So when the Jonathan Ledbetter, I was about to say Leatherwood's got him across the neck, and Cotton's got a kid, and twice on third down. The Ledbetter one was on third down, and then there were 3 times, and then back-to-back third down plays with Brenton Cox. And I asked him specifically, I'm like, Brenton, they were holding you. Like, yeah, they got me by the neck. Brenton Cox was held twice, and he had a free shot to the quarterback, and they were not called. One damn penalty in the first half.
Now I will say,
I'm not saying Georgia didn't.
I was gonna say no. Well, I was gonna say, it's not. They weren't calling a lot of holding all night. And it was a chippy game. Everybody was in on it. It was happening across the field. Bama probably got away with some egregious ones for sure.
But when you got a guy who is past your tackle, he's past your right tackle, and he is going towards the quarterback, and he throws an armbar across a guy's neck and keeps him from doing it. That's
absolutely
goddamn
that's textbook.
Yeah, I'm just like, come on. And here's the thing. Now, both teams do a lot of bump and run coverage. Okay, they bump a guy at the line, they both take off, and they're step for step, and they called some pass interference calls.
I did, yeah.
And there was one really over the head one, and Stokes is like, what the hell?
Yeah, and that was
a garbage call.
That was very minimal contact.
So, but my point being is like, look, if you're going to call the ticky-tack pissant shit of these pass interference calls, call the blatant hold, and both ways.
Yeah.
Make Georgia play fair. Make Alabama play fair. Call it across the board. But that's just, I'm sorry. I don't want this. It was the exact same thing when Tua went down. The Georgia fans were clapping for him, cheering for Tua because he's a warrior. They love him. And they wanted to beat him, plus, of course, another backup quarterback that doesn't bode well for them. And we said in the pregame, Hurts is no slouch. But you don't want to throw this game on the officials. You want to beat Alabama straight up.
Absolutely. There's no doubt. Yeah.
Your best against my best. You hope nobody's hurt. I mean, Georgia's playing without Monty Rice. They're playing without Cade Mays. They're playing with a freshman at right guard.
And I was a little, Sean Forsyth says, hurt not having Rice out there. I was a little surprised that he didn't play. There were several times on the sideline I saw him stretching out. He was running into the huddle, had his helmet in his hand. I mean, he was nipping.
That's called screwing with Alabama.
He was nipping at it. He was nipping at it.
But I mean, you think about all the guys you were down, and you know Alabama has some guys who are banged up too. But what you want in a game like this between two behemoths, a fair game, call it both ways. I don't want to come and do our show and say let's talk about the
officials.
Refs.
Yeah, I agree.
But damn, you have to.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, and here's the thing: there are other people in the media who have no dog in the fight, and they're like, man, that's just, they call it Bama privilege. I'm thinking that's going to be a thing.
We got James Crump says, number 1, Alabama, number 2, Clemson, 3, Georgia, 4, Notre Dame. What are your takes on that?
Love it. That's exactly how it should be.
You think Georgia deserves to be in the playoff?
Yes.
Okay. I would agree with that. But
you said get out of the show.
Here's the thing. I talked to Alex Glaze, our buddy over at 11 Alive after the game, and really the committee has to make a decision. Is it about strength of schedule, or is it solely about wins? That's what it comes down to.
Point.
At the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. And so those are your two criteria.
I think
we'll figure that out.
Hacksaw Dog on the board pointed out something from Mark. I think it's Mark Spears said the criteria is supposed to be the 4 best teams. It is very tough for you to tell me that Georgia's not one of the 4 best teams in the nation.
Yeah.
If that is your criteria, they're in. If it's, like you said, if it's wins, that's completely different. So I do like the idea. I mean, to me, if you put Georgia up against Notre Dame, they're 14, 17-point favorite.
Yeah.
You put Georgia up against Clemson, 3 points either way. I think Georgia may be a 3-point favorite just because you saw what South Carolina could do to them. This team that took Alabama was leading Alabama for most of the game. I'd make Georgia a favorite. It's tough, though. Clemson is really good.
But, I mean, against all of them.
But against Ohio State, Oklahoma, Georgia's a favorite in all of those.
I agree. But and how big of a favorite do you think Alabama is against all of those teams? 3 scores?
Yeah. Well, I think, no, let me go. Yeah, 3 scores. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe
17?
17 points, yeah. Except for Clemson. But
yeah.
I mean, Georgia over Notre Dame, 21. Alabama, Notre Dame, 21-point spread. Against Ohio State, against Oklahoma, they're 2014, 17, 21-point favorites in all those games. Georgia is almost there. So to me, you got to put them in. But now here's the thing, and you folks do not want to hear this. I thought Justin Rowland at our Kentucky site, I saw a tweet he had a week ago, and it was great. Food for thought. He said, look, if Georgia plays Alabama and they don't get in, and if they lose, Georgia doesn't necessarily deserve to get in because you had your shot at Alabama. Give somebody else a try.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm like, yeah, you want to get in, you had to win the game. You knew what was there. What makes you think you're going to beat them the next time?
Russell Miller here with an interesting one that I do want to address. He says, LOL at media and fans second-guessing Kirby and the fake punt call. I get fans and media have a right to criticize, but also keep in mind Camarda has struggled punting all year. Now, I will agree that he has been up and down in that regard. Tonight, he was pretty money.
He was.
I mean,
60-yarder.
The punt coverage, and if the punt coverage would have been there, you'd have pinned him inside. You'd have pinned him inside the 5 twice.
Yeah.
It was real narrow.
There were 2 that were close. And
this was not a bad night for Jake Camarda by any stretch.
And it was a good spot for him to punt from.
Yeah.
Because he could have hung it up there without having to do that pooch, if I'm remembering correctly, whether they're around the 49 or whatever. Mm-hmm. So he hangs it up there. And how many times have you seen Mecole Hardman catch that ball at the 1?
Yes, exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. You can have them drive 49 yards. Now, if it works, everyone thinks he's the biggest damn genius, and Scott Fountain statue goes up, outside Butts-Mehre tomorrow. But you're 0 for 3 on those plays.
Virginia Caswell says, committee consistently goes with most deserving over the best. The rest of the country will freak out if we get a playoff berth, even though we deserve it.
Virginia's
better be ready, because
she didn't take my spot. She nailed it because
the shitbirds are coming out. Yeah. Trust me, you are going to start hearing from some folks if Georgia. People are going to get in their feelings if Georgia ends up in the playoff.
Last year, these other conferences were livid. I don't think you folks understand how angry they were. There were 2 SEC teams in the playoffs. And then in the finals, now granted both teams won their way into it, but that was their biggest fear. I think they were thinking, hey, we'll put 2 deserving teams into the finals. Maybe Georgia loses Oklahoma. We don't have to worry about it. But I think she's dead on. To do it 2 years in a row and to put in the team that lost the SEC championship.
Tough. You're just.
I mean, the Pac-12 is already mad.
Yeah.
But they're out. I mean, there's nothing there. So you think about it, you have 5 Power 5 conferences, 4 spots. And this independent in Notre Dame.
Paul Van Landingham says, please answer why we left Bama wide receiver Waddell open on 3rd and long multiple times, allowed Hurts to win the game. I'm talking legit wide open.
Busted coverage?
I mean, yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know the answer why he was open.
Yeah, it's.
And they gave you a gift early in the game. I mean, he hit the tight end. He was behind everybody.
Oh yeah. God,
And
I think he got
it.
freaked out. I think he got freaked out by how open he was.
Yeah, it's like this. Am I dreaming?
Yeah.
Is this really happening? And it hits him in the hands, and he drops. I mean, a sure-handed tight end, a guy who catches everything, and then he dropped. There's nobody behind him. Tariq McGee was 10 steps ahead of him. That guy would have gone for 70 yards.
Paul Van Landingham says our secondary still isn't where it needs to be. I agree with that statement. I think that this is look. You had 2 veteran guys in J.R. Reed and DeAndre Baker. You had 2 young guys in LeCount and Stokes out there. Stokes, you're the newest one of the bunch.
Yeah.
I thought played a very good game.
He had a great breakup in the end zone.
Yeah, he did. And
but he also had he had a pass interference call, and he got burned on one.
Yeah.
So,
the PI was a little ticky-tack. Tyler Stover says, let's talk about those field transfer comments. You can go see the whole video. We got 16 minutes worth of video right here on the YouTube page, so hang around and watch that when we're done. But basically, we talked to Fields after the game. It was the first time we've gotten to talk to him all year. We asked him about rumors that, he might
we asked him about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we asked him about everything that we've been waiting all year to ask him about. And a lot of comments regarding the transfer rumors. Basically, he said, hey, the season here is not over. I don't know why we're talking about next season, which is non-committal, certainly. He's
diplomatic.
It was a very diplomatic answer. Hard to read too much into what he said, one way or the other.
He's smart.
The kid's smart. He knows what he's doing. And I will tell you this: he was nothing but complimentary of Georgia. If you were looking for him to say anything negative, there was none of that. He talked about I was a bit frustrated at the beginning of the year, just making the transition from being the starter for my whole life to being second string suddenly. He said, but that was me focused on me. And as the season progressed, it became more about the team. And I'm happy with.
And a lot of freshmen will do that. They start out they're the man. They've been rated number 1 in the nation, number 2 in the nation, or their position. They've been up there. They get here. It's been all about them.
Yeah.
For years. And now they will kill for their high school team. They will put their bodies on the line for their guys that they grew up with. You get here and it's a business. You're at UGA, you're at Alabama, you're at LSU, and it's still about you because you're not tight with these guys yet. They are teammates. They're not your boys.
Yeah, right. Sure.
But after you've struggled with them, after you've won with them, after you've lost with them, after you've bled with them, after you've cried with them, after you've celebrated with them, now they're starting to come around.
I agree.
And the way I wanted to illustrate that is something when we're talking to Quay Walker, another freshman that we get to talk to. And Quay Walker said, oh, yeah, we took this game personally. I was over there on the sideline talking to Tyson, Fields, and Otis Reese. A little foursome there.
Yeah.
Some very talented kids. They were upset about losing to Bama. They're mad about it.
Yeah.
But think about it. They're talking about us, a group. We are mad about this.
Right. And like I said, that was, I think for Justin, that was sort of the transition from me to we. That was kind of how he said it. So, it'll be interesting. Look, it's definitely going. Yeah, exactly. We're not saying he's staying by any measure. And we're not saying he's going, though. That's the thing. It wasn't like he came out and said, oh, this is bullshit. I've been pissed off all season. They've used me incorrectly to get the playing time I want. Not at all. It was.
But he could have said, why would I think about transferring?
Right. Exactly. Yeah, sure.
And
I will say too, a lot of people ask him about the Jake Fromm relationship. People have tried to characterize that all season as cold and they're not interacting. And he said, look, I bounce stuff out off Jake all the time. He said he's probably the smartest quarterback I've ever been around. He said, he's a guy who I've learned a lot from. So.
Yeah, but they don't look friendly. I don't mean that. I shouldn't say that, but yeah,
they're competing.
Yeah,
and that's what it is. I mean, that's what.
I don't think they go to the movies together.
No. They probably don't go to each other's houses for holidays.
But we've seen this with a lot of the tailbacks, guys who are competing against each other. They room together, they hang out together, they do stuff together outside of the team. We're not seeing that with the quarterback room. And we didn't see it with Easton and Fromm last year.
Very true. Very true.
There can only be one guy on the field.
Overall, anybody that just jumped off the page to you today, anybody that surprised, anybody that put together, I thought DeAndre Walker.
No, I was about to say, let me, this was a setup to go, would you like to tell me I was right? Yes, you called DeAndre Walker having a big game, and he did. He was
all over the place,
He was.
man.
That was a hell of a performance by him. Natrez Patrick had a great game. He was due.
Yeah.
And we've given him grief on this post-game show. We've pointed out his failings and bad days, but Natrez Patrick had a good one.
Yeah. Ecological Addict says the offensive line. I think they played well overall. Yeah.
Now they started out poorly, and I do like the fact that we saw with the first series, all of a sudden, Quentin Williams just absolutely blows by Trey Hill.
Yeah.
It just kicked him. But later on, we saw Sullivan Kinley grab Quentin Williams, lift him up, and throw him to the ground or throw him sideways. Sullivan played lights out, and that slap by Andrew Thomas.
That was awesome. Go watch that video. We retweeted it. Go watch that shit. That's hilarious. He literally just clubs a dude in the head. Open palm slaps a man.
What did the hand say to the face?
Let's see. Was DeAndre Walker hurt during those last few Bama drives? Didn't see him on the field. That's an interesting question. I saw him get up and kind of walk a little gingerly. I thought he just kind of racked his nuts. I thought
it was on a sack. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he landed. I think he landed on Tua's cleats in his. Where you don't want to be cleated.
On the family jewels.
Yeah.
A couple guys saying still hurting, not nearly drunk enough. I'm about halfway into a bottle of Maker's Mark to drown my red and black heart. Cox and Anderson going to be a nasty duo. No question about that. Look, the young guys, I thought played very well. You had Channing Tindall was in there contributing. I said, if you're hearing his name a lot, Adam Anderson a lot, that's good signs.
You called that because you said that they would probably go with their faster group, and they did. Brenton Cox should have had 2 sacks, but he was held twice. Maybe not sacks, but at least quarterback hurries.
What a homer. Yeah.
He should have been able to make them let go of his neck.
All right. I think.
Who else we got?
Okay.
The wide receivers.
Yeah. Like I said, I thought collectively that group played as well as they have all year. And
tight ends. The tight ends.
What it was though for those receivers, like I said, sticky hands, man.
Yeah.
Making some grabs that I have not seen those dudes make necessarily. A couple tough ones, close up with guys, winning battles, dragging the foot. Overall, I thought it was very strong.
But a shout out to Charlie Warner, who didn't get to play in this game last year. Ran as a national title game. He was injured, but he got his first shot against Alabama. He had a nice catch there, some big blocks. But Isaac Nauta with the big run in the middle of the field and the first touchdown. Again, big blocks. I don't know. Maybe they finally realized they have a 5-star tight end in Isaac Nauta. Ooh, look what he can do.
Tyler Stover says, did y'all see Anderson's tweet after the game? Definitely did. Adam Anderson basically said, hey, this game lit a fire under my ass, and the beast is out. And that's scary if he's able to deliver on that's big talk. That's what he's saying. But he's more than capable.
He's still only 225, though. I asked him.
Is he really? Wow.
6'5", 225. Just to give you an idea, Justin Fields is 6'3", 225.
What do you reckon he puts on about 20 pounds before fall camp next year?
He'll find some steroids or something. I just don't know that he'll put the weight on.
Mayonnaise sandwiches. Bro.
Mayonnaise sandwiches.
There you go.
That kid, but he is lightning fast. He jumped past it wasn't a double team, but it was basically there's a wall, and he got through there before those 2 guys could close and was in the backfield, and it was him and Tua. He kind of pivoted on it. He went to his left, and Tua went to his left, and that they kind of separated them. But he almost had it.
Yep.
And again, for a freshman playing on this stage, and you got to think Brenton Cox on one side taking on those tackles, and when they go to the outside, and Anderson said, "I'm his eyes," so that's the guy falling behind him. Those 2 together, lights out.
Absolutely.
And then Otis Reese and Quay Walker and Channing Tindall in the middle.
Look,
Reese backing him up.
It's like Donan's been saying it. If you want some of Georgia, you got to get it now because, that's a talented young group of guys that are still figuring stuff out. So, I think that the future's bright. Regardless of what you saw today, the future's bright.
You don't hear Cox's name at all? Well, no. I mean, he's being held, but at the same time, it's the same. How often do you hear Solomon Kinley or Lamont Gallagher? You know, I mean, those guys. There were games where the interior linemen. I mean, did you hear Jordan Davis's name?
Right.
You know, last year did you hear John Atkins' name a lot? You know, those guys. Sometimes those guys they're doing their job, but you don't hear their name because they're not making the tackle. But
all right, let's any parting thoughts?
I had some, but it's been a long day. I don't know. I think that Georgia should be in the playoffs, but I think that you're going to have so many conferences lose their ever-loving minds if you put the loser of the SEC championship. Anyway, Georgia showed that they deserve to be in it, but I think you're not going to get it by politics. And this was in my 3-2-1. The first thing I wrote about is Georgia always seems to have to go further than anybody else. You know, Notre Dame did play a lot of P5 schools.
Yep.
You know, but it still wasn't a murderer's row schedule, and they're in without a playoff game. We're talking about Ohio State. They're playing Northwestern.
Northwestern, yeah.
Yeah. Give Georgia that conference game. Let them in it, you know.
Hey, look, your 4 best teams, that's the argument. And like I said, that's what it's got to come down to. That's my parting thought on this is you will find out tomorrow if the committee values strength of schedule or wins. And that's what it comes down to.
And I'll put it to you this way. I don't think it's a matter of can Georgia catch Alabama. I think it's a matter of the win. You led them. You took them to overtime last year with some very talented seniors. You led them for most of the game this year with a bunch of freshmen and sophomores. Let's go to that offensive line. A redshirt freshman at right tackle, true freshman at right guard, senior center, redshirt sophomore at left guard, true sophomore at left tackle, sophomore running back, sophomore quarterback.
There's some stuff to work with.
I'm just saying, and you haven't even seen Zamir White out there yet. You know, you're on the other side. Who's making plays? Brenton Cox, Adam Anderson. You know, and you lose some talented guys.
Oh, no doubt.
You know, DeAndre Walker, losing Ledbetter, it's going to be tough. But yeah, Jordan Davis, who looked fantastic tonight. I'm just saying from a physical. I don't know how well he played.
Right.
Well, that kid has gotten better looking each game. So,
He sure is handsome.
think about Georgia's secondary next year. You know, you've got Tyson Campbell. You know, probably Speed coming back. Stokes.
And think about now. That's what's key.
Reese.
That's what's key to me. You're losing DeAndre Baker, obviously, but you've got 2 guys in Stokes and Campbell now that have a lot of meaningful snaps.
Yeah.
That's huge.
McGee, LeCount.
Yeah. William Poole's rotated in there.
Yeah.
We've seen him. You've got some, if you can land a guy like Tyreek Stevenson, maybe he could make a big impact. Lewis Sign back there at the safety spot, playing alongside Richard.
So point being, I know this game hurts, but you are going to...
Devod Wilson, good point.
Oh, shit, yeah. Point being, you have the ability to go toe-to-toe with Alabama now. You were leading them. You had a chance to put this game away. Maybe you don't fake the punt or you make them drive, but you've led them. They beat you in overtime when you had the number 1 and the number 2 and number 3 running backs in the history of Georgia football on the same team with Roquan Smith and guys like that. And
credit goes to them. They're still the standard.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're measuring yourself against one of the best Alabama teams we've seen in the history of Alabama, you led them for 3.5 quarters.
Not bad.
If you're pissed off with that, you're mad about Kirby, I get it, but Kirby's got this thing going the right direction.
Absolutely. All right. We're going to go get into some of that Maker's Mark ourselves. So make sure that you guys check out all the videos here at UGASports.com's YouTube page. Make sure to subscribe while you're here, too. Give us a little thumbs up. We'd appreciate that on the video. And share this with your friends if you get a chance. We'd love for
we
you
don't
to
ask you to do
that.
much, but share it, please.
And, by the way, if you want to get over, see all the coverage we got, still got the Cyber Monday deal rolling. So $99 in free team gear.
$99 and stuff. It's $99 to have a year of membership, and we give you $99 in hats, T-shirts, watches, thongs, whatever.
Thanks for talking me off the ledge. You're welcome, Hudson. We're glad to do that. That's why we're here. And guys, we appreciate it so much. We will see you after probably the Sugar Bowl, I guess. Well, I won't be there, but Roddy will.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll catch you guys later.